years ago, to be honest, by taking a slightly more in-depth look at them. And I thought for this evening's video we'd lump together two notorious conspiracy theories, both of which are to do with our planet Earth. So in tonight's video, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be firstly taking a look at hollow Earth theory, and then secondly, we're going to be having a look at flat Earth theory, which is arguably the more sort of famous and notorious one. If I remember, I'll put the timestamps down below, so maybe you fall asleep watching the first one, you can easily find the second, or maybe you want to start with flat Earth and come back to hollow Earth later. Whatever, pick your poison. Hopefully I remember to do that. But yeah, I really hope you do enjoy this video, as always. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the conspiracy theories. So, hollow Earth. The hollow Earth is a concept proposing that the planet Earth is entirely hollow, or contains a substantial interior space, notably suggested by Edmund Halley in the late 17th century. The notion was disproven, first tentatively by Pierre Bouguer in 1740, then definitively by Charles Hutton in his Schehallien experiment around 1774. It was still occasionally defended through the mid-19th century, notably by John Cleves Sims Jr. and J.N. Reynolds, but by this time it was part of popular pseudoscience and no longer a scientifically viable hypothesis. The concept of a hollow Earth still recurs in folklore and as a premise for subterranean fiction, a subgenre of adventure fiction. Hollow Earth also recurs in conspiracy theories such as the underground kingdom of Agartha, and crypto-terrestrial hypothesis is often said to be inhabited by mythological figures or political leaders. So let's take a little look backwards at the history of this theory. So in ancient times, the concept of a subterranean and land inside the Earth appeared in mythology, folklore, and legends. The idea of subterranean realm seemed arguable, and became intertwined with the concept of places of origin or afterlife, such as the Greek underworld, the Nordic Svartalfheimr, butchered it, I apologise, the Christian hell, and the Jewish Sheol. Again, correct me in the comments, it's like when I pronounce gridiron as gridiron. The idea of a subterranean realm is also mentioned in Tibetan Buddhist belief. According to one story from Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there is an ancient city called Shambhala, which is located inside the earth. According to the ancient Greeks, there were caverns under the surface which were entrances leading to the underworld, some of which were the caverns at Tyneron in Laconia, at Troezen in Argolis, and Ephia in Thesprotia. In Thracian and Dacian legends, it is said that there are caverns occupied by an ancient god called Zalmoxis. In Mesopotamian religion, there is a story of a man who, after travelling through the darkness of a tunnel in the mountain of Mashu, entered a subterranean garden. In Celtic mythology, there is a legend of a cave called Gruachan, also known as Ireland's Gate to Hell, a mythical and ancient cave from which strange creatures would emerge and be seen on the surface of the earth. There are also stories of medieval knights and saints who went on pilgrimages to a cave located in Station Island, County Donegal in Ireland, where they made journeys inside which says tunnels lead to the land of the subterranean Tuatha De Danann, a group of people who were believed to have introduced Druidism to Ireland and then went back underground. In Hindu mythology, the underworld is referred to as Patala. In the Bengali version of the Hindu epic Ramayana, it has been depicted how Rama and Lakshmana were taken by the king of the underworld, Ahiravan, brother of the demon king Ravana. Later on they were rescued by Hanuman. The Angami Naga tribes of India claim that their ancestors emerged in ancient times from a subterranean land inside the earth. The Taino from Cuba believe their ancestors emerged in ancient times from 2 caves in a mountain underground. Natives of the Trobriand Islands believe that their ancestors had come from a subterranean land through a cavern hole called Opugula. Mexican folklore also tells of a cave in a mountain 5 miles south of Ojinaga, and that Mexico is possessed by devilish creatures who came from inside the earth. In the Middle Ages, an ancient German myth held that some mountains located between Eisenach and Gotha hold a portal to the inner earth. A Russian legend says the Samoyeds, an ancient Siberian tribe, travelled to a cavern city to live inside the earth. In Native American mythology, it is said that the ancestors of the Mandan people in ancient times emerged from a subterranean land through a cave on the north side of the Missouri River. There's also a tale about a tunnel in the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation in Arizona near Cedar Creek, which is said to lead inside the earth to a land inhabited by a mysterious tribe. It's also the belief of the tribes of the Iroquois that their ancient ancestors emerged from a subterranean world inside the earth. The elders of the Hopi people believe that a Sipapu entrance in the Grand Canyon exists, which leads to the underworld. So, in the 16th to 18th centuries now, the notion was proposed by Athanasius Kircher's non-fiction Mundus Subterraneus in 1665, which speculated that there is an intricate system of cavities and a channel of water connecting the poles. Edmund Halley in 1692 conjectured that the Earth might consist of a hollow shell about 800 kilometers thick, 2 inner concentric shells and an innermost core. Atmospheres separate these shells, and each shell has its own magnetic poles. The spheres rotate at different speeds. Halley proposed this scheme in order to explain anomalous compass readings. He envisaged the atmosphere inside as luminous, and speculated that escaping gas caused the aurora borealis. Leclerc Milford in 1781 led a journey with hundreds of Muskogee peoples to a series of caverns near the Red River, above the junction of the Mississippi River. According to Milford, the original Muskogee peoples' ancestors are believed to have emerged out to the surface of the earth in ancient times from these caverns. Milford also claimed the caverns they saw could easily contain 15,000 to 20,000 families. It is often claimed that mathematician Leonard Euler proposed a single-shell hollow earth with a small sun at the centre, providing light and warmth for an inner earth civilization. But that is not true. Instead, he did a thought experiment of an object dropped into a hole drilled through the centre, unrelated to a hollow earth. So now moving into the 19th century. In 1818, suggested that the Earth consisted of a hollow shell about 1,300 kilometers thick, with openings about 2,300 kilometers across at both poles, with 4 inner shells each open at the poles. Sims became the most famous of the early Hollow Earth proponents, and Hamilton, Ohio even has a monument to him and his ideas. He proposed making an expedition to the North Pole hole, thanks to efforts of one of his followers, James McBride. J.N. Reynolds also delivered lectures on the Hollow Earth and argued for an expedition. Reynolds went on an expedition to Antarctica himself but missed joining the great U.S. exploring expedition of 1838 to 1842, even though that venture was a result of his agitation. Though Sims himself never wrote a book on the subject, several authors published works discussing his ideas. McBride wrote Sims's theory of concentric spheres in 1826. It appears that Reynolds has an article that appeared as a separate booklet in 1827, remarks of Sims's theory which appeared in the American Quarterly Review in 1868. Sir John Leslie proposed a hollow earth in his 1829 Elements of National Philosophy. In 1864, in Journey to the Centre of the Earth, Jules Verne describes an expedition into the Earth's interior via the fictional Icelandic volcano Skataris. The protagonists do not actually reach the centre, but nevertheless discover a subterranean ocean inhabited by creatures believed extinct. They escape through another volcano on the Italian island of Stromboli. William Fairfield Warren, in his book Paradise Found, the cradle of the human race at the North Pole, presented his belief that humanity originated on a continent in the Arctic called Hyperborea. This influenced some early Hollow Earth proponents. According to Marshall Gardner, both the Eskimo and Mongolian peoples had come from the interior of the Earth through an entrance at the North Pole. So, somehow, theories continued in the 20th century. So, Nekwa, or the Problem of the Ages, first serialized in a newspaper printed in Topeka, Kansas in 1900, and considered an early feminist utopian novel, mentions John Cleve Sims' theory to explain its setting in Hollow Earth. An early 20th century proponent of Hollow Earth, William Reed, wrote Phantom of the Poles in 1906. He supported the idea of a hollow Earth but without interior shells or the inner sun. The spiritualist writer Walburga, Lady Paget, in her book Colleagues with an Unseen Friend, was an early writer to mention the Hollow Earth hypothesis. She claimed that cities exist beneath a desert, which is where the people of Atlantis moved to. She said an entrance to the subterranean kingdom will be discovered in the 21st century. The explorer Ferdinand Ossendowski wrote a book in 1922 called Beasts, Men and Gods. Ossendowski said he was told about a subterranean kingdom that exists inside the earth and is known to Buddhists as Agathi. Novelist Lobsang Rampa, in his book The Cave of the Ancients, said an underground chamber system exists beneath the Himalayas of Tibet, filled with ancient machinery, records and treasure. Michael Grumley, a cryptozoologist, has linked Bigfoot and other hominid cryptids to the ancient tunnel systems underground. Now, a book by Dr. Raymond Bernard, which appeared in 1964, called The Hollow Earth, exemplifies the idea of UFOs coming from inside the Earth, and adds the idea that the Ring Nebula proves the existence of hollow worlds. as well as speculation on the fate of Atlantis and the origin of flying saucers. An article by Martin Gardner revealed that Walter Seigmeister used the pseudonym Bernard, but not until the 1989 publishing of Walter Gafton Minkle's Subterranean Worlds, 100,000 Years of Dragons, Dwarves, the Dead, Lost Races, and UFOs from Inside the Earth, did the full story of Bernard Seigmeister become well known. That was such an unnecessarily long title for a book. Hollow Earth proponents have claimed a number of different locations for the entrances which lead inside the Earth. Other than the North and South Poles, entrances in locations which have been cited include Paris in France, Staffordshire in England, Montreal in Canada, Hangzhou in China, and also the Amazon rainforest. But there are variations in these theories. So, there's concave hollow earths. So instead of saying that humans live on the exterior surface of a hollow planet, sometimes called a convex hollow earth hypothesis, it is hypothesized humans live on the interior surface. This has been called the concave hollow earth hypothesis. Cyrus Deed, a doctor from upstate New York, proposed such a concave hollow earth in 1869, calling his scheme cellular cosmogony. Deed founded a group called the Koreshan Unity based on this notion, which he called Koreshanity. The main colony survives as a preserved Florida State Historic Site at Estero, Florida, but all of Deed's followers have now died. Deed's followers claim to have experimentally verified the concavity of the Earth's curvature through surveys of the Florida coastline, making use of rectilineator equipment. Several 20th century German writers, including Peter Bender, Johannes Lang, and Karl Neubert, published works advocating the hollow earth hypothesis, or Hollow Idea. It has even been reported, although apparently without historical documentation, that Adolf Hitler was influenced by concave hollow earth ideas and sent an expedition in an unsuccessful attempt to spy on the British fleet by pointing infrared cameras up at the sky. Purportedly verifiable hypotheses of a concave hollow earth need to be distinguished from a thought experiment which defines a coordinate transformation such that the interior of the Earth becomes exterior and the exterior becomes interior. What is bloody going on? The transformation entails corresponding changes to the forms of physical laws. This is not a hypothesis but an illustration of the fact that any description of the physical world can be equivalently expressed in more than one way. Now the next section is what's it titled? Contrary evidence, but I feel like that's no fun. I don't want to completely, we know it's not real, and I don't want to sit here and explain to you why it's not real, so instead we're just going to move on to Hollow Earth in fiction. So the idea of Hollow Earth is a common element of fiction, appearing as early as Ludwig Holberg's 1741 novel Nikolai Klimi, Iter Subterraneum, in which Nikolai Klim falls through a cave while spelunking and spends several years living on a smaller globe both within and the inside of the outer shell. Other notable early examples include Giacomo Casanova's 1788 Icosamaron, a 5-volume, 1,800-page story of a brother and sister who fall into the earth and discover the subterranean utopia of the Megamikras, a race of multicoloured hermaphroditic dwarfs. Frill published anonymously in 1819 Simsonia, a voyage of discovery by a Captain Adam Seaborn, which reflected the ideas of John Cleves Sims. Now, in William Henry Hudson's 1887 romance, A Crystal Age, the protagonist falls down a hill into a utopian paradise. Since he falls into this world, it is sometimes classified as a Hollow Earth story, although the hero himself thinks he may have travelled forward in time by millennia. In recent decades, the idea has become a staple of the science fiction and adventure genre across films. Children Who Chase Lost Voices, Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Aquaman and the Monsterverse. Television programs such as Inside Job, Slug Terror, and the third and fourth seasons of Sanctuary. You have role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, the Hollow World campaign set that is, Hollow Earth Expedition, and video games such as Torrens Passage and Gears of War. The idea is also partially used in the Marvel Comics universe, where there exists a subterranean realm beneath the Earth known as Subterraneum. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System video game Terranigma features this concept in the opening and closing acts of the game. The Hollow Earth is a key location in Legendary Pictures' Monsterverse films, being the point of origin of the Titans and the strange animals of Skull Island. Initially being teased in Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, a full expedition into the Hollow Earth is a primary focus of Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong The New Empire. So what do I think of this theory? Well, frankly, it's a load of rubbish, but I also think, we'll get onto Flat Earth shortly, but I feel like there generally are Flat Earthers out there in the world who have convinced themselves that the Earth, is in fact flat, whereas Hollow Earth, I think, is just like a nice sort of idea, picturing this beautiful sort of inner world under our world where extinct animals roam and it has a sun and there's vegetation, blah blah blah. So I feel like this is harmless. And there's some pretty artwork and stuff that has sort of come out of this concept. But it's the next one, Flat Earth theory, where, well, the nut jobs come in. So let's take a deep dive into Flat Earth theory. So, pseudo-scientific beliefs in a flat Earth are promoted by a number of organisations and individuals. The claims of modern flat Earth proponents are not based on scientific knowledge and are contrary to over 2 millennia of scientific consensus that Earth is spherical. Flat Earth beliefs are classified by experts in philosophy and physics as a form of science denial. Flat Earth groups of the modern era date from the middle of the 20th century. Some adherents are serious and some are not. Those who are serious are often motivated by religion or conspiracy theories. Through the use of social media, Flat Earth theories have been increasingly espoused and promoted by individuals unaffiliated with larger groups. Many believers make use of social media to spread their views. So, looking at the background, many ancient cultures believed that the Earth was flat as it appears so at a local level. The Greeks deduced that it was instead a sphere, and that became the scientific consensus. So into the 19th and early 20th centuries, contrary to the popular belief that the Earth was generally believed to be flat until a few hundred years ago, Earth's sphericity has been widely accepted in the Western world since at least the Hellenistic period, which is around 323 to 31 BCE. 19th century that the flat earth concept had a resurgence. Modern flat earth belief originated with the English writer Samuel Rowbotham in 1816 to 1884, based on conclusions derived from his 1838 Bedford level experiment. Rowbotham published the 1849 pamphlet titled Zetetic Astronomy, writing under the pseudonym Parallax. He later expanded this into the book Earth Not a Globe, proposing the Earth is a flat disk centered at the North Pole and bounded along its southern edge by a wall of ice, Antarctica. Rowbotham further held that the Sun and Moon were 3,000 miles above Earth, and that the cosmos was 3,100 miles above the Earth. He also published a leaflet titled The Inconsistency of Modern Astronomy and its Opposition to the Scriptures, which argued that the Bible, alongside our senses, supported the idea that the Earth was flat and immovable, and this essential truth should not be set aside for a system based solely on human conjecture. Rowbotham and followers like William Carpenter gained attention by successful use of pseudoscience in public debates, with leading scientists such as Alfred Russel Wallace. Rowbotham created a Zetetic Society in England and New York, shipping over 1,000 copies of Zetetic Astronomy to the New York branch. Wallace repeated the Bedford level experiment in 1870, correcting for atmospheric refraction and showing a spherical Earth. In 1877, John Hampden produced a book, A New Manual of Biblical Cosmography. Rowbotham also produced studies that purported to show that the effects of ships disappearing below the horizon could be explained by the laws of perspective in relation to the human eye. After Rowbotham's death, Lady Elizabeth Blount established the Universal Zetetic Society in 1893, whose objective was, and I quote, the propagation of knowledge related to natural cosmogony in confirmation of the Holy Scriptures, based on practical scientific investigation. The Society published a magazine, The Earth Not a Globe Review, which sold for 2p and remained active well into the early 20th century. A Flat Earth journal, Earth, a monthly magazine of sense and science, was published between 1901 and 1904, edited by Lady Blount. She held that the Bible was the unquestionable authority on the natural world, and argued that one could not be a Christian and believe the earth is a globe. Well-known members included E.W. Bullinger of the Trinitarian Bible Society, Edward Houghton, senior moderator in natural science in Trinity College Dublin, and an archbishop. She repeated Rowbotham's experiments, generating some counter-experiments, but interest declined after the First World War. The Universal Zetetic Society was revived under different names over the years, 1956, 1977 and 2004. The movement gave rise to several books that argued for a flat stationary Earth, including Terra Firma by David Wardlaw Scott. So, moving on to taking a little bit of a look at the International Flat Earth Research Society. So in 1956, Samuel Shenton created the International Flat Earth Research Society, better known as the Flat Earth Society, as a successor to the Universal Zetetic Society, running it as organising secretary from his home in Dover, England. Given Shenton's interest in alternative with science and technology, the emphasis on religious arguments was less than in the predecessor society. This was just before the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik. He responded, "What sailing round the Isle of Wight proved that it was spherical. It is just the same for those satellites." His primary aim was to reach children before they were convinced about a spherical Earth. Always good to radicalise the children. Despite plenty of publicity, the space race eroded Shenton's support in Britain until 1967, when he started to gain attention during the Apollo program. When satellite images showed Earth as a sphere, Shenton remarked, "It's easy to see how a photograph like that could fool the untrained eye." Later asked about similar photographs taken by astronauts, he attributed curvature to the use of wide-angle lenses, adding, "It's a deception of the public, and it isn't right." In 1969, Shenton persuaded Ellis Hillman, a Polytechnic of East London lecturer, to become president of the Flat Earth Society, after attempts to convince Eden Thomas, a former chairman, to take on the role. But there is little evidence of any activity on his part until after Shenton's death, when he added most of Shenton's library to the archives of the Science Fiction Foundation he helped to establish. Shenton died in 1971. Charles K. Johnson, a correspondent from California, inherited part of Shenton's library from Shenton's wife. He incorporated and became president of the International Flat Earth Research Society of America and Covenant People's Church in California. Under the next 3 decades under his new leadership, the Flat Earth Society grew to a reported 3,500 members. One thing, I'm just going to interject here. So they've got this society, right, and I assume they have meetings. What on earth do those meetings consist of? Like, do they just sit in a circle and go, "Oh yeah, the Earth's flat, innit?" Like, they can't have new material to, talk about every single week or month, unless it's like they bring up things they've seen in the news and whatever and be like, "Oh, look at this rubbish," and I don't know, but yeah, like what on earth do they talk about? Johnson spent years examining the studies of flat and round Earth theories and proposed evidence of a conspiracy against flat Earth. The idea of a spinning globe is only a conspiracy of error that Moses, Columbus and FDR all fought. His article was published in the magazine Science Digest in 1980. It goes on to state, "If it is a sphere, the surface of a large body of water must be curved. The Johnsons have checked the surfaces of Lake Tahoe and the Salton Sea without detecting any curvature." Johnson issued many publications and handled all membership applications. The most famous publication was Flat Earth News, a quarterly 4-page tabloid. Johnson paid for these publications through annual member dues costing $6 to $10 over the course of his leadership. Johnson cited the Bible for his beliefs, and he saw scientists as pulling a hoax which would replace religion with science. The Flat Earth Society's most recent planet model is that humanity lives on a disk with the North Pole at its centre and a 150-foot high wall of ice, Antarctica at the outer edge. The resulting map resembles the symbol of the United Nations, which Johnson used as evidence for his position. In this model, the Sun and Moon are each 32 miles in diameter. The Flat Earth Society recruited members by speaking against the US government and all of its agencies, particularly NASA. Much of the Society's literature in its early days focused on interpreting the Bible to mean that the Earth is flat, although they did try to offer scientific explanations and evidence. So to finish off, we're going to have a little look at the internet era resurgence, and as part of that take a look at what flat earthers actually believe today. As my laptop is about to lock. There we go. So, in November 2017, more than 500 people paid as much as $249 each to attend the first ever Flat Earth conference in a suburb of Raleigh in North Carolina, USA. According to a 2018 YouGov opinion poll, just 66 of millennials firmly believe that the Earth is round, with celebrities like rapper B.O.B., basketball players Kyrie Irving, Wilson Chandler and Draymond Green advocating for flatness. So, in the information age, the availability of communications, technology and social media like YouTube, Facebook and Twitter have made it easy for individuals, famous or not, to spread disinformation and attract others to erroneous ideas. One of the topics that has flourished in this environment is that of the flat earth. These sites have made it easier for like-minded theorists to connect with one another and mutually reinforce their beliefs. Social media had a levelling effect in that experts have less sway in the public mind than they used to. YouTube has faced criticism for allowing the spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories through its platform. Yeah, you would talk about conspiracy theories on the YouTube channel. In 2019, YouTube stated that it was making changes in its software to reduce the distribution of videos based on conspiracy theories, including Flat Earth. In the documentary Behind the Curve from 2018, Professor of Psychiatry Drew Pierre offers as explanations the Dunning-Kruger effect, the phenomenon whereby ignorance in a given field makes people unable to recognize their own ignorance or lack of ability in that field. Misunderstandings of simple observation, pseudoscientific practices which fail to separate reliable from unreliable conclusions, and a progressive divergence from reality that starts with a belief that conventional information sources and the government cannot be trusted. Out of the necessity to explain photographs of the Earth in space, the observations of astronauts, why all major institutions such as governments, media outlets, schools, scientists and airlines assert that the world is a sphere, etc. Modern flat earthers very commonly embrace some form of conspiracy theory. As Daryl Marble, a speaker at the Flat Earth conference, told his audience, after watching hours of YouTube conspiracy videos on Sandy Hook, 9/11, false flags, the Bilderbergers, and the Illuminati, he said, each thing started to make that much more sense. I was already primed to receive the whole flat earth idea, because we had already come to the conclusion that we were being deceived about so many other things. So of course they would lie to us about this. Conspiracy belief is often intertwined with conservative Christian belief. According to internet influencer Rob Skiba, the ultimate motivation of the alleged conspiracy of a round Earth in space, many of us have come to believe, is hiding God. Reading the Bible, when you break down the text of what it represents, there's no way you can get a spinning, heliocentric globe out of anything in the Bible. According to author Alan Burdick, in Style and Substance, the Flat Earth movement is a close cousin of creationism. They tend to not trust observations they have not made themselves, and often distrust or disagree with each other. Patricia Steer admitted in Behind the Curve that she wouldn't believe an event like the Boston Marathon bombing was real unless she had gotten her own leg blown off. Flat Earth believers in the documentary also professed belief in conspiracy theories about vaccines, genetically modified organisms, chemtrails, 9/11 and transgender people. And some said dinosaurs in evolution were also fake, and that heliocentrism is a form of sun worship. Dearie me, so what do these people, I was going to say a more rude word, what do these people believe? So based on the speakers at the 2018 UK's Flat Earth UK convention, believers in a flat earth vary widely in their views. While most agree upon a disc-shaped earth, some are convinced that the earth is in fact diamond-shaped. That'd be kinda cool, I could get behind that. Furthermore, while most believers do not believe in outer space, and none believe humans have ever travelled there, they vary widely in their views of the universe. Flat Earth international conferences organised by Robbie Davidson are unaffiliated with the Flat Earth Society. According to Davidson, the Earth is a stationary plane, with the sun, moon and stars inside a dome, while the Flat Earth Society promotes a model in which the Earth is a disk flying through space, which Davidson finds incredibly ridiculous. Yeah, that would be ridiculous. Filmmakers of Behind the Curve attended another Flat Earth conference at which a substantial number of people believed the Earth was an infinite plane, potentially with more continents beyond the purported circular ice wall of Antarctica. Members of the Flat Earth Society and other Flat Earthers claim that NASA and other government agencies conspire to fabricate evidence that the Earth is spherical. According to the most widely spread version of current Flat Earth theory, NASA is guarding the Antarctic wall that surrounds Earth. Flat Earthers argue that NASA manipulates and fabricates its satellite images, based on observations that the colour of the oceans changes from image to image, and that continents seem to be in different places. The publicly perpetuated image is kept up through a large-scale practice of compartmentalization, according to which only a select number of individuals have knowledge about the truth. Research by Carlos Diaz-Ruiz and Thomas Nielsen on the arguments that flat earthers wield shows 3 factions, each one subscribing to its own set of beliefs. The first faction subscribes to a faith-based conflict in which atheists use science to suppress the Christian faith. Their argument is that atheists use pseudoscience, evolution, Big Bang and the round earth, to make people believe that God is an abstract idea, not real. Instead, their arguments use the scripture word by word to support an argument that enables God to really exist. This faction frames flat earth arguments as revelatory. For example, a literal interpretation of Revelation 7, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of earth, which indicates the earth must have had 4 corners. The second faction believes in an overarching conspiracy for knowledge suppression. Building upon the premise that knowledge is power, the Flat Earth conspiracy argues that a shadowy group of elites control knowledge to remain in power. In their view, lying about the fundamental nature of the Earth primes the population to believe a host of other conspiracies. This faction frames Flat Earth arguments as liberatory. And the third faction believes that knowledge is personal and experimental. Experiential. They are dismissive of knowledge that comes from authoritative sources, especially book knowledge. Can't be reading those pesky books. This faction would like to find out themselves whether the Earth truly is round or flat, because they distrust book knowledge and mathematical proof. This faction believes that the Earth is flat because their observations and lived experiences make it appear as if we live on a flat surface. This faction frames flat earth arguments as experimental. Well, there you go. At least they're in their nice 3 easily categorised groups. So what do I think about flat earth theory? Well, I was raised to, respect other people's beliefs and whatnot. But if you believe this, you are an idiot. You are an idiot. It's as simple as that. I don't think being respectful of people's beliefs includes flat earthers. So if you are a flat earther, do feel free to unsubscribe or leave a dislike. Although, having said that, it is a cool idea. I don't know if it's just cool because it's different to the traditional globe shape, but I don't know why a disc with a wall of ice around it sounds badass if you ask me. It sounds pretty damn cool. But unfortunately, I really don't think that's the case. But I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. It isn't. But maybe it is. Anyways guys, be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. But that is going to do it for tonight's video. I feel like we really broke down the history and the origins of